Previously, on the inconceivably 80s vaulting absurd end of the world commercialized holiday special. And now, the thrilling conclusion. Right after this.
Tonight, on an all-new All My Cardboard, Jeanette finds out that she is pregnant, but even though she is married to her husband Henry, the child actually belongs to Benjamin, the crate from Long Island. Will Jeanette have the courage to tell her husband the truth, or will it become unboxed? The shocking revelation will be revealed in the season finale.
Then, at 10, is the premiere of South Jersey Sam's Grindhouse, with a double feature of The Toxic Avenger and Hobo with a Shotgun. It's old school and new age, with the most insane brutality you can't find anywhere else. That's all happening tonight, only on SJS.
Hallelujah.
Aren't you going to do something?
I had this fear that maybe you were going to shoot first.
Dang it, Morgan! I've been holding my hands up for weeks now. Ugh.
Weeks? Ah! Carpal tunnel syndrome! Carpal tunnel syndrome! Carpal tunnel syndrome!
Wait. I don't need this anymore. The season's over.
Huh? Oh, figure, seeing how there is no point. Hey, what's that?
Oh! Well, looks like somebody got me a new bedspread for Christmas. While I was being held at gunpoint...
Holy crap! The mother of all electronic gifts. James, am I dreaming?
No, but I'm still mad at you.
Look, I'm sorry I snapped over a bad movie. Big deal. But it's the new year and we might as well start fresh with a good flick.
Right. Well, it better be good. What do we have today?
Well, before we do that...
Just get to the point.
So much for establishing tension. One of these discs is not like the other. One of these discs isn't the same. Can you guess which disc is not like the other by the time I finish this song?
Pete's Dragon.
Ooh! So close. If you said The Last Dinosaur, Nightbreed, or The Incredible Shrinking Woman, you would have been correct. Why? Because they are mod DVDs. In short, manufactured on demand. With the coming age of people buying things online and the mix of underrated titles that are not nearly as mainstream as others, the idea of giving things a chance to be ordered online and made to be ordered for online purchase, such as The Keep or Dragon's Lair the TV series, is a double-edged sword. On one hand, you're able to get such a hard-to-find entry for your library, but on the other hand, it's the cutting knife wound for underrated and obscure films these days.
That's all very fascinating, but I still have no idea what you want me to watch here.
The Incredible Shrinking Woman!
Galaxy glue, galaxy glue. What would we do without galaxy
Boy, this movie had a cult following in its day. How could this go from a fan favorite to literally shrink into near obscurity? Seriously, in the late 90s, copies of it were hard to find, and those who saw it on cable networks were semi-lucky enough to catch it.
The original novel by Richard Matheson was written in 1956, entitled The Shrinking Man. While discussing plot elements in this particular piece, it's important to note that the concept of shrinking came from the fear that man's active role in the day-to-day world was, in fact, shrinking in an ever more populating world.
But the biggest thing to note is how this remake, if you call it, was actually the directorial debut of Joel Schumacher.
The Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher?
Yes.
Okay!
Besides, the one who was truly responsible for the screenwriting was Jane Wagner, who was not only Lily Tomlin's life partner, but also the star's collaborator as well. So those who are squeamish of having Joel in the director's chair need not worry. Besides, what we're really asking here today is, does this tiny, underrated flick hold up for a new generation of viewers? Or does it deserve to be in mod DVD hell?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't seen this movie since I was about 6, but I remember liking it, so let's find out.
So our film begins by establishing its message: the dangers of consumerism! You see, most films in the 1980s carried a social or political satire on our daily lives, whether it be elements like killer junk food in The Stuff or zany TV and Amazon women on the moon. But in the movie's case, they really hammer this in.
I think a better way of putting it would be shoved down our throats.
What we'd like you to do is look in the camera and say, tastes like real cheddar cheese. It doesn't? Well, what does it taste like? Shit.
And enter our heroine, Pat Kramer. Played by Lily Tomlin, busybody mother, and overall witty personality.
Which one has the real cheddar on it, and which one has the cheese teas?
I know you want me to be honest, so I must confess they both taste like Corette. Because when you shoved the crackers in my mouth, I was chewing gum and they all got it mixed up together.
Sheesh. At least the food samples at BJ's aren't that forceful.
Okay, before we go any further with this movie, I'd like to address something. Clearly, we have a message dealing with consumerism coming from an industry that prides itself on selling you everything that it can. So why do certain products come into view here like they were being put in for product placement?
I don't know. Maybe it's additional funding, and they had to resort to product placement or just try to keep things in a realistic manner. Huh?
Put the Cheez-Its down.
So, after a nice look at the wonderful world of commercialized condominium places known as Tasty Meadows, at least it sounds better than Chew and Swallow, we are given the opportunity to be introduced to another character. And no, you're not seeing double, this is Judith, Pat's concerned neighbor and uptight social citizen, who is also played by Lily Tomlin.
Go ahead. Now, they have Flow Natural hairspray, Fountain of Truth beauty cream, and this is so light and fluffy on the face. No Fooling cleanser. I just love that tune.
In going with the film's overall consumerism vibe, Judith is a beauty product saleswoman. And after all the incidents this movie has of blasting products in Pat's face, this seems like the one wasted opportunity.
What'd you expect from a film directed by the guy who did Batman and Robin? A good film with subtlety.
Who is that?
A new character whose debut was supposed to be in the next season.
Excuse me, but the name is Bobcat. Homless Bobcat. Speaking of which, Why in the halibut are you late on these Christmas specials? You really need to invest in an agenda. If it's one thing I should know most of all, it's organization. It's like as if you're going in and making the donuts, man. You go in to make the donuts. You don't go in there to sit around with your finger up your nose and say, ooh, look, a donut hole. Ooh, this is going to be so interesting to make. So great to put in the frosting and all that such. No, man, you go in to make the donuts. You go in to make the donuts. You go pre-organized. You go pre-planned. You do all these things. You make sure you get the work done
Here's
right.
an
You
idea.
don't come in last
Let's
minute
not
and
pay
say,
attention to him
"I'm sorry,
anymore.
honey. I
Also
know
have
this
too much
isn't
to
a really
focus
good
in this
gift, but
review.
at least I tried.
Speaking of characters, Charles Grodin plays Pat's husband Vance, and needless to say, his role is much kinder than his one in Clifford. And to add on to the message of consumerism, he's part of an advertising agency whose sole job is to invent names for new products, like this perfume he just spilled on his wife by accident in plot point form.
Which name do you prefer for the new perfume? Hypnotique?
Honey, too old-fashioned.
How about Arise?
Kind of sounds like a breakfast food to me.
Breakfast.
Vance. Oh, I know what to call it. Sex pot.
Sex pod. Of all the things, you give it that? You know how taboo that can be in the 1980s?
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
While Pat and Vance are busy taking advantage of the fact that this is an 80s family film, we see her blouse is undergoing a rather unusual transformation. Next day, Pat not only finds out that her blouse is missing, but that she seems to be losing body mass. But Vance has yet another glue product to name. And uh-oh, broken vase. What to do?
You broke a vase.
Don't wait for days.
Where's that music coming from?
Galaxy glue. Galaxy glue. What would we do without Galaxy glue?
This movie just turned into a very sarcastic musical.
I guess the joke is, despite the strange turn in events, the jingle is supposed to show the product is a miracle worker? But I don't know. It's about as weird as Dr. Evil singing that Meow Mix jingle.
Din din. I want chicken. I want liver. Meow mix, please deliver.
It seems the planets have decided to align again today.
But now we see that Pat really is getting smaller, as is not only confirmed by the x-rays from Dr. Atkins, no joke, but also from a local science facility run by Dr. Klopek. And here's where the anti-consumerism message really kicks in. Want to know why Pat's shrinking?
What I am saying, Mrs. Kramer, is that you are shrinking from a combination of the tap water, the flu shot, the perfume, the glue, the solvent, your bubble bath, talcum powder, shampoo, hair conditioner, setting lotion, deodorant, toothpaste, detergent, birth control pills, and smog, set off by an imbalance already present in your system.
We helped name half those products.
She's shrinking due to an overabundance of beauty products. See, in the original story of the shrinking man, it was radioactivity that did it. And that was during a more innocent time where radioactivity could be used to explain everything from spider-bite transformations to gargantuan men. Here it's just a chemical imbalance. I don't know, does that work for you, Morgan?
Well, as a matter of fact, it leaves me mixed. On one hand, it's an interesting new twist, but on the side, there's a lot of holes. First, it would make more sense if they addressed the fact that she was being affected from products created by one corporation, or maybe a mix from others. Having it be ambiguous leaves one to wonder. Second, it would have just made more sense if it was coming from one product rather than a bunch of materials. And there is evidence on the way that will show you why I think this.
Well, you know what I think? Maybe
Oh, shut up! You know, you're not even supposed to be in this episode anyway.
Oh, so that's how it is. Treat me like a gopher and toss me aside. Well, for your information, I'm going on a protest and living in this fort here till I get my debut.
By living in someone's car?
least it's better than living in the Coke bottle. Yeah.
So, as Pat goes home and continues to shrink after being told by the facility that they're going to find a cure, the story of the incredible shrinking woman starts to gain national news attention. And here we get the other big preachy point that this film tries to highlight. See, in the novel and the original movie, the idea of a shrinking man was used to imply that man's relationship with the world around him was shrinking as well. The key word here is imply. So how does this movie come out with its analogy of a shrinking woman?
Perhaps the petite Pat Kramer is a metaphor for the modern woman. It is no secret that the role of the modern housewife has become increasingly less significant.
They come right out and say it. And it doesn't hold any water here because all throughout the movie she's been fulfilling her role as a housewife. So, frankly, I don't see the point.
Being one who has yet to see or even read The Incredible Shrinking Man...
Biased!
What I do understand is the idea of how the smaller the man gets, the bigger his solitude becomes. Here, I think what they're going for is a far different take. Instead of Pat's presence getting smaller, her role as a housewife does. Someone who was a neighborhood character is now a celebrity that is only known for her disorder. I guess it works in the film's favor of how rising fame can cause problems, but we have seen that fable enough. But what I can say is that there's a big problem with this. She becomes too well known. I know this is a little too late to bring up, but later on in the film, it's ambiguously hinted that Pat Kramer became a worldwide figure. And personally, I think it's better executed when it's more of a hometown thing, and not a national to global phenomenon. That better not happen again.
Excuse me, madam, but I'm going to have to take a look in that bag.
There is nothing in this sack that is of any concern to you.
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Kramer.
At least she didn't squeeze the shaman. So Judith gives the idea for Pat to go on national television to address her case, but Vance's boss, played by Ned Bealey, hopes the interview won't be, well, let's just say, create a negative image.
What if these products are dangerous?
If your wife goes out there and creates a crisis in confidence in American consumerism, that's dangerous. Now, maybe some of our products do attack a few blood cells, but you're talking about a television show where millions of people are tuning in. Now, do you want to look in there and tell them they can't trust American products? You know what they want? They want hope.
Ah, now, this alludes to earlier when I mentioned that it should be from the company and not a random assortment of products. But here's where they really hammer it in. For past decades, people have been subjected to many product recalls, whether it be toys or peanut butter, and the last thing they need not to know is the harmful aspect of a product. To be frank, I appreciate the film's delivery of that warning, but the way they address it, it feels like the setup for a stereotypical 1980s evil business tycoon plot device, and, surprise, surprise, it does. But the point I'm trying to make is that once you've established the message early on and present it in the clear open, how much farther is there to expose of it? The fear of a company is one thing, but it's never made clear of which company in general, and that is something lost here.
Especially when you see what happens next. You want an evil business tycoon? Guess what? Everybody's in on this! Not just the businessmen, but the doctors and the big bad guys with the black suits sitting behind the Dr. Strangelove desktop.
What you are about to hear, gentlemen, Sandra,
Will deliver us to the threshold of a new era of civilization. We, the Organization for World Management, can be the trailblazers of tomorrow and be assured our place as the power elite forever.
Good God. Alex Jones was right. The evil businessmen, the doctors, the New World Order. It's all come together now. Gah! Suicide pills. Terrorism. Global management. Grab your muskets. It's all illusion. Terrorism.
While we prepare for the global apocalypse, here are some tasty commercialized mini-movies for your enjoyment. In short, commercial break!
Yes, I got this thing. I got this thing ready.
When you have a taste for the holidays, you want a soft drink that tastes like the holidays. You want the crisp, clean choice that's everyone's favorite icebreaker. 7-Up, the Uncola. Because you never know who might drop in.
Stop by the Winter Wonderland for holiday savings on all 7-Up products. And make the season bright.
Toe fungus, huh?
And athlete's foot.
Whoa. Try new Fungi Nail Toe and Foot.
Toe and foot?
It's guaranteed to treat both.
How do you know?
I'm attached to a pharmacist. Nail it with Fungi Nail.
They live. They exist only in the walls. The sea monkey took my pills. Alcohol aluminum is made of Melmac. Alfred Hitchcock stole every idea I had.
Twin towers.
People don't like my opera scene in the
Fluoride
shower,
sterilization.
especially when I bathe.
Candy
outside in the
bars
streets.
make you gay.
Cats really love my hairy legs. My sandwich is
Wait.
mostly made of...
We're only halfway through the movie?
Oh yeah. And what do our global masterminds have in plan? Why, shrink the entire population by simply making a serum from pets' blood.
That's just silly!
While that's going on, looks like Pat Kramer's become the official Christmas gift lady or something. Is that why you wanted me originally to do this over Christmas with you? Because it has one scene that involves Christmas?
Yes.
Huh. Well, if that's the case, you do obscure stuff. Why didn't you just do The Bone Collector?
Oh, sure. And Batman and Robin is never considered a Christmas classic, but yet Gremlins is?
There's a reason for it! And if things couldn't get worse, not only Pat has no choice but to reside in the dollhouse, but her role of the mother literally shrinks with it. Seriously, her kids see her as a toy, and her husband starts to somewhat distance from her. But hey, it would be rough for you too if your spouse was only 4 inches high and couldn't maintain a healthy physical relationship. And, what do I mean by that? Well...
What was up with that laughter and screaming? I have no idea what to call that.
Happily scared?
Play it back in slow-mo. Everything's funnier in slow-mo.
Okay, now that's just creepy.
As Pat continues to shrink, the big bad corporation tries desperately to get a sample of her blood for their evil plan. Meanwhile, Pat desperately tries to make the best of her situation, but finds it hard to do just about anything. And... how symbolic. Her role in the household has just gone down the drain.
Speaking of small misadventures, I wonder how Sam is holding up. Then again, he's probably smart enough to avoid dumb things like this.
I will kill you with bare hands! It's good time to run, cowards! Oh, run! Run! I'm coming for you!
Luckily, she is able to get out before the disposal is set on, but sadly gets captured in the process. Oh, and apparently the family thinks she was shredded with the food, causing a worldwide mourn. Needless to say, it leads to a semi-dark but funny joke.
No one will ever fill her shoes.
But hey, at least they're not kept in a laboratory with a bunch of screaming monkeys and... Rick Baker in an ape suit?
Sidney in pain? Sidney heart hurt?
Why should his heart hurt?
It's my guess he feels sorry for her.
Is it too late to mention that Rick Baker won the first Best Makeup Award at the 54th Academy Awards? And beat out Stan Winston's makeup job in Heartbeeps?
History would have been so different if the award went to that pile of junk.
But that's not the strange part. Having a human act as an ape is normal for certain comedies. But when they give a gorilla a human trait, it can work or hang at the balance of being odd. And in the movie's favor, it's half and half. At times it can be funny, but sometimes it just looks weird considering the cartoony look and performance Rick gives. That so feels a little out of place with the, quirky tone this film is going for. Then again, his performance as Kong in the 1976 remake was no Oscar Gold, but it did have its charm.
Thousands and thousands of dollars, and all we've got to show for it is a sentimental gorilla.
In no time at all, Pat befriends the lab gorilla, whose name is Sydney, Academy Award winner. And she also gets to meet this rather ignorant lab assistant, who apparently does not believe that she is the real Pat Kramer.
I only work here, lady.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the shrinking woman. I'm Pat Kramer.
They told me you'd say that. You're Pat Kramer's clone. The real Pat Kramer's dead.
You can speak sign language to a gorilla, but you were actually dumb enough to fall for that. They cloned a shrinking woman before she died because... Why? Why would they do that? What would they possibly have to gain from doing that? I mean, technology wasn't even close to that back in 1981, let alone now.
If that wasn't enough, Pat learns from a conveniently placed and not put away file that the scientists plan to use her for their shrinking the world problem. Yes, creating a serum from something that is still shrinking. Seriously, wouldn't her blood shrink to nothing by the time they get to her? But either way, it leads into a rather funny moment.
I know you don't believe me, but look in my folder. Go ahead, look. Please let me call my husband. Please.
They really are planning to shrink the world!
My God, my mother had a point when she said I was being so gullible.
Time for a phone call to her husband to let him know that she's still alive and unwell.
Vance, it's me. I'm alive. I'm alive.
Pat, my God, where are you?
Yep, he's shocked all right. Let's just hope the line doesn't get cut by...
Operator, operator!
I'm so sorry, but you have been disconnected from the party to whom you were speaking. And you better lay off the buttons, Buster.
Another Lily Tomlin. What? She's a housewife, she's a saleswoman, she's a phone operator. Does anybody in this universe question how many different women look strangely the same?
Oh, that's just another one of her characters from that Laugh-In show. You know, she was supposed to have another one appear named Edith Ann, who was supposed to be this child in a grown woman's body, but it was cut.
Good. I mean, I love Lily Tomlin, but there's only so much Lily Tomlins I can take.
Well, unless you're this guy.
Point made.
So to sum up the final 15 minutes, it's basically an insane bunch as we get a varying dose of comical tones from the Three Stooges to even Keystone Cops, as Sidney and Pat try to escape. And yes, even banana peels are involved.
Which way did they go? This way, come on!
It's a comedy show,
But when things couldn't get absurd, check out this.
Please!
Only in the 80s did family films get away with this. This certainly is an interesting choice for a top-secret government facility cover, a burger joint. Remember, a smart government always hides its secrets in plain sight. Or maybe it's just a way to get Pat to the nearest audience most likely to have a microphone so she can say her final farewell to the world.
A minute ago, I thought I felt it was my duty to warn you that what happened to me could happen to you. But now I feel different. You don't need me to tell you what's wrong with the world.
This speech is a rather sweet moment. I never forgot it because I always thought that was what they were really going for, to have her shrink away to nothing. In fact, back to the book one last time, the novel and the original movie had the titular shrinking man shrinking away until he was practically nothing, even after an awesome fight with a common house spider. But all the while, he still existed throughout the years and accepted his new role in life no matter how depressing it is.
I'm not afraid, don't you, me? I love you. I wish I was a little more of so. I wish I was a little more of so.
At least she went down knowing she had a good life and met a lot of interesting people. Even having a very brief affair with a Jerry Nelson Muppet.
But we can't end like that in a comedy now, can we?
No.
Being the lighthearted romp it is, we have Pat falling into a puddle of conveniently placed chemicals some shopper dropped and restores the incredible shrinking woman to her normal height. In true Joel Schumacher fashion, holy Duex Makama, Batman! But wait, does this go against the film's message about the dangers of consuming hazardous products? I spoke too soon. But at least they got an ape out of it.
Galaxy Glue! Galaxy Glue!
To be continued in a sequel that will never happen. So, how did I enjoy this movie after many years of not seeing it? It's okay. I typically cringe at films with heavy-handed anti-consumerism messages, especially the ones with product placements in them, but I have my exceptions. They Live being one of them. This film does have a few laughs, but mainly does a great job of using practical and special effects to capture the world through the perspective of a woman who's shrinking before the eyes of the world watching her, predating other such classics as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. In the end, I guess it's okay, it's just now I kind of want to rewatch the original black and white movie.
And being one who never saw the original Incredible Shrinking Man...
Biased.
Shut up! From that perspective, how does this movie hold up? Let me put it like this. You have anti-consumerism films like They Live, which can be a lot of fun, and others like The Stuff that goes in a more horrific route, while still keeping its popcorn entertainment at best. However, Incredible Shrinking Woman doesn't live up to either. The message alone feels kind of one-sided at times, and almost cliché as the 80s would give birth to the stereotypical evil tycoon characteristic. In fact, Pat gets saved by the harmful product she consumed. How is that applied to your message of avoiding things that might do damage to us? Again, I think this was better handled in something like The Stuff, where it was one product that was affecting the nation, and not a huge batch of things you would find in the health and beauty aisle. Aside from its flaws, it does have a handful of good laughs, the characters can be likable at times, and the special effects hold up rather convincingly well. Despite its dated feel, I say it's worth a look.
Well then, I guess that's one good movie review out of the way now. How about my movie?
Movie? Oh, let me guess. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Well, there's good news and then there's bad news.
Bad news first.
I don't have enough cash for it.
What?
Yeah, my working hours are getting cut back. The good news is that there's an alternative.
An alternative? Wow. Wait, you're a Time Lord now?
I want to say yes, but I don't think I can regenerate.
Well, now that I got that tip out of the way, I have a very important question to ask. Morgan, what do you plan to do with your life?
Life? I never thought that ahead before. Looking into the future is not my thing.
You know, there is more to life than just digging into the past. Look at yourself. Look at the world around you. It's moving. But I don't see you getting anywhere. For years now, you've done nothing but sit in a chair and talk about movies, TV shows, and other stuff. And now, so have I, come to think of it. But is this what you call life? I thought so. Well, see you in the new year.
Excuse me!
Now, what do you have to say?
Oh, it's not me, actually. It's, him.
Him?
Happy holidays, Morgan.
Drago? What are you doing here?
I think the real question here is, why are you so glum?
Well, just that... I don't know what to do with my life. This past year had so many ups and downs, I don't know what to do.
Let me say this. Why do you review underrated stuff?
Not a lot of people know about these movies and TV shows. And all this trivia I know about, all these things, these behind the scenes, and these titles that are close to obscurity, I just don't want to put this knowledge to waste. If I do it so I can get my thoughts out there. But what purpose does it have now? I've lost an alien friend, I've freaked some out, and annoyed many. What good is it?
Still, you're here. You lived through it. Isn't that what matters? Sure, there can be bad times, but you managed to pull them through. And if things seem doubtful, just remember, you can do better next season.
Think back to the stories you were once told as a child. The hero had to go against all kinds of conflict and trouble in order to seek a happy ending. But not every fairy tale has a happy ending. Even sometimes darkness must pass and sacrifices must be made. For there is hope for your race yet. There is good in this world. But they will return.
Well... I always have been trying to improve over the years.
Look at what you got, Morgan. So what if you're not bigger than Elvis or a slice of bread? So what if things don't work out the way you hope they would? Tomorrow is always another season. Besides, the last thing I wanted to do is end what I started. It's not much, but without your series, it wouldn't lead to a lot of things. If you get something you enjoy, do it till you know when it's time to end. And hey, you've led an interesting journey, but it's not over yet.
What do you mean?
There's more underrated flicks out there, waiting to be dug and critically examined. They can't pop up and present themselves alone. Someone has to do it.
Yeah. It's not much. But doing this job is the best damn thing I got. Besides, 5's not a bad number for a season.
See you around, Morg.
Same to you, friend.
And thus, Morgan was true to his word. For he even knew that if the worst of times came, he knew that what he had was at least worth keeping. Not just telling of films, but sharing the experience and keeping many entertained. He did it all, and a whole lot more. It was said that he knew how to keep the spirit of reviewing well, if any critic alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us all, and all of us, as Drago observed.
God bless us, everyone.